light of hope, the fire of commitment, and the warmth of community.
Hello and welcome to River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation, a community of fellowship, spirit, and service. I'm Reverend Amanda Weatherspoon, your Minister for Justice and Community Building. Good morning to everyone watching from the live Zoom party. Welcome to everyone listening to the podcast or watching later on YouTube. This is a space and a place where we can bring the fullness of who we are, where we celebrate in each other's joys, and we are with each other in our sorrows. This morning, we dig deeper into our May spiritual theme of emergence. So for now, settle in, take a nice seat, grab the beverage of your choice, and come, let us worship together.
Good morning. 2,500 years ago, along the border between India and Nepal, a child was born to a king and a queen. The king and queen were very happy and invited a wise man to predict the future of their child. "Please tell us," asked the queen, "what will our son grow up to be?" "One day, he will become a great king," the wise man answered, and this pleased the father very much. "Or," the wise man continued, "he may also become a great spiritual sage." The king became alarmed at hearing this and vowed to ensure that didn't happen. As his son grew, the king made sure Siddhartha Gautama always had the best of everything. He wanted him to enjoy life as a prince and life in the palace. When the prince turned 7 years old, his father called him and said, "Siddhartha, one day you will become king. There are many things you must learn, and we have the very best teachers here. They will teach you what you need to learn." He had instructed the teachers that all things ugly or frightening were to be kept out of Siddhartha's sight. Siddhartha did not learn to read or write, but rather how to ride a horse. He learned how to wield a bow and arrow and how to fight with a sword. These were the skills that a king might need. Siddhartha did leave the palace, but not alone, and only 4 times, and each time he did, he grew sadder because of what he saw. On the first trip, he saw a man who was ill, and he discovered that anyone could become sick and be in pain. On his second trip, Prince Siddhartha saw an old man and realized that people did not live forever. And on the third trip, the prince saw a dead man's body being lovingly carried by his family, and he learned that he had to die someday, that everyone died someday. On the fourth trip, when he was 29 years old, the prince saw a monk. The monk led a simple life and had no riches, and this made Siddhartha curious. Prince Gautama, for whom a crown and a kingdom were waiting, decided right then and there not to be king at all. He left the palace and his family behind. He took nothing with him, and once outside, took off all his jewelry and silk clothing and changed into yellow cotton robes. He lived as a monk, but this too he let go of after 6 years. And then he sat under a Bodhi tree and thought. He sat even longer and meditated, which is different from thinking. And then he became this spiritual sage long ago predicted. He became known as the Enlightened One, the Buddha. Jane Hirschfield, the poet, tells us that the Buddha's life is not about some special story. It's not about something sacred or divine or different. It's simply an example of what one person can do, become something by first giving up everything. Most of us will not give up everything to become something, but no matter whether we are 6 or 60, we might wonder, when are those times we have given up something we loved because there was something else more important? I wonder if we might be doing that now.
As always, there are so many ways to connect to the life of our congregation and to all of our ministries within it. Every single person at River Road is a stakeholder in the powerful new Green Sanctuary initiative that our congregation will vote on at our annual meeting on June 14th. Over the next 2 years, this initiative will reach out across all aspects of River Road's congregational life, from religious education to the use of plastic water bottles on our campus to plant-based menus in our fellowship hall and environmental justice outreach projects. You are invited to learn more about the UUA Green Sanctuary program, of which we are a part, at the town hall meeting that will happen today at 5 p.m. after the service. You can find the link to join the town hall meeting in last week's e-weekly. The RRUUC Green Sanctuary team asks you to please take the survey that we will post on the chat to help you shape the final plan for RRUUC's Green Sanctuary work. That link, again, posted on the chat and available in the e-weekly. I also want to let you know that Reverend Amanda and the Immigration Task Force are organizing another food raiser. This one supports La Clínica del Pueblo, our longtime community partner, and will be held on Sunday, May 24th in front of the building. We'll take the same precautions as we did before. Look for more information in the e-weekly or contact Reverend Amanda or Charlotte Jones Carroll. It is a concrete way that we can help and make a difference for those most in need. Also, if you want to be a part of our online worship services, especially through the beautiful slideshows that play in the beginning and the end of our services, we invite you to do so. If you want to be in May 31st's slideshow, you can send Reverend Amanda pictures of you or your loved ones during the quarantine. You might hold encouraging signs that say we are in it together, we are still here, or any other message of hope you would like to share with your fellow River Roaders. For the slideshow on the 31st, you can send a message to Reverend Amanda by Wednesday the 27th, and we are collecting your images of flowers and blossoms and beauty for our annual flower communion service in the beginning of June. You can send them anytime with more information in the e-weekly and online. It is my great joy to share that our new religious educator for children, Chris McCann, will officially be joining our staff team on June 15th. She is delighted to join Beth and the rest of the RE team, and I look forward to introducing her to every single one of you soon, right here in our online worship. And finally, of course, we are aware of emerging guidelines from both state and local officials regarding safe practices for opening up communities of faith. We are also tracking developing guidance from our Unitarian Universalist Association and seeking the perspectives of healthcare and public health experts from within our own congregation to determine our best way forward, both in the near and longer term future. Know that for now, with cases continuing to climb in Montgomery County and beyond, our worship and programming will continue to function largely in virtual space, with updates available as and when we can offer them. We have everything we need and time to make the best decisions. So let's hang in there with all that we have to do the very best that we can for one another. For truly, we come together with so much. Joys that bring us to laughter and sorrows that bring us to tears. Joys and sorrows in our own lives and in the world. Black Lives Matter. We have declared it as a religious community for years, and we declare it anew right now, when the lives of people of color are threatened disproportionately, and the risks of everyday activities can escalate even to death. We share the names today of Ahmaud Arbery, killed while jogging in Tennessee, and Breonna Taylor, dead in a police-involved shooting in Kentucky, for the lives, for the stories, for the struggles, for the work. We lift up our hearts and our hands. Black Lives Matter, now and always. Just as we hold that commitment, we hold each other. We hold each other as some of us struggle to keep our businesses open. Some of us grieve the businesses that have already closed. As some of us struggle with health issues and others among us move to new homes and new adventures in their lives. Each of us adjusts to new realities. Today, our meditation is from the Reverend Lee Reed, who shares with us a to-do list for these our days, a set of tasks worthy of our highest aspirations. So if you would, with all of the things swirling around our heads, all of the tasks done before and yet to be done later, all of the time and the boredom and the busyness, take a deep breath and a good seat, pondering with me what it would feel like to have a to-do list like this one. To-do list from Lee Reed. Mend a quarrel. Seek out a forgotten friend. Dismiss suspicion and replace it with trust. Write a love letter. Share some treasure. Give a soft answer to a hard question. Offer encouragement. Manifest your loyalty in word and in deed. Keep a promise. Find the time. Forgive an enemy. Listen. Apologize if you are wrong. Try to understand. Flout envy. Examine your demands upon others. Think first of someone else. Appreciate. Be kind. Be gentle. Laugh a little. Laugh a little more. Deserve confidence. Take up arms against malice, decry complacency, express your gratitude, welcome a stranger, gladden the heart of a child, take pleasure in the beauty and the wonder of the earth. Speak your love. Speak it again. Speak it still once more. May it be so. Amen. May we speak our love today. May we take up arms against malice. May we express our gratitude. May we flout envy and find within ourselves the beginnings of all the peace we will need. Amen. And blessed be.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. This is a generous and giving community. And each month we have the opportunity to share in that generosity with a community organization whose mission and values align with ours. For the month of May, that's Action in Montgomery. Many of us at River Road are more than familiar with AIM. And here in a few moments, we'll hear from Cynthia Marshall, who's a lead organizer with AIM. One of the things I greatly value about AIM is that they place relationship at the center, at the core of all of their organizing. Some of you may remember the one-to-one relational campaign that we launched back in the fall. This was an opportunity for people to connect deeply around their passions and their purpose. This provides the cornerstone of change in our community. Another thing I love about AIM is that it's focused on what's happening locally here, changes that we can make, ways that we can hold our elected leaders accountable. I had the joy of going to the action in March, and I was able to witness firsthand the importance of having people in our community advocating for each other. Principals and teachers and residents, people who are directly impacted by what happens here.
Good morning, River Road. This is Cynthia Marshall. I am the lead organizer of Action in Montgomery. Thank you so much for sharing your service with me this morning. As many of you know, Action in Montgomery has had a long history of working with River Road Unitarian. You all have helped us to win $725 million for affordable housing, to get 1,200 students in high poverty elementary schools, quality after school programs with an educational aspect, recreation, and a hot meal every day, which is why many of the families sign up for the program in the first place. And we work across the county and across the state to have major victories like passing the DREAM Act in Maryland, and to work on getting better legislation around education through the State House. The pictures you're seeing today are from our action with 500 people at the People's Community Baptist Church, where dozens of River Roaders helped us hold accountable our elected officials around issues on immigration, affordable housing, and equity in education. You may be wondering what we have been working on since the COVID virus hit. And this is a time when AIM is needed even more than ever. Many of the parents at the Title I elementary schools that we work with are facing eviction in the near future, are struggling to get food, are out of work. And we have been continuing to work with the parents, with the principals, with the teachers to hold landlords accountable to maintaining quality housing. We've been working to get food resources into some of the highest poverty communities in Montgomery County where people are hungry. We've helped to get COVID testing and medical care into some of these communities. And we've been working on different aspects of helping to prevent evictions, whether that's through tenants getting direct funding so that they can pay their rent, or whether it's legislation to help cap rent increases and to address housing in other ways. So I hope that this morning that you can give to AIM and give generously. We're on the front lines, and then we're also working across the country with our sister organizations on the next steps for building the future of our country, to have more housing, good jobs, and a good recovery that really addresses inequity in our communities and in our country. Thank you so much for your time and for the ongoing support and work with AIM.
What a joy it is to be in faithful partnership. There are many ways to give here at River Road. You can go onto our website, rruuc.org, go to our giving page and find our social justice giving. There you'll find all of our Extend the Offering organizations. Scroll to the month of May and you'll find Action in Montgomery. You can click on that link and find ways to give directly there. Of course, you can always text to give. The text to give number is 73256. That's 73256 plus RRUUC and the amount. All of our offering today will go to actions in Montgomery and help build this community, partnership by partnership, person by person. Please give as you're willing and able.
I am who I'm becoming. I am all I have done. I am what I am dreaming. I've only just begun. I am who I'm becoming. I am all I have done. I am what I am dreaming. I've only just begun. I am who I'm becoming. I am You are who you're becoming. You are all you have done. You are what you are dreaming. You've only just begun. You are who you're becoming. You are all you have done. You are what you are dreaming. You've only just begun. We are who we're becoming. We are all we have done. We are what we are dreaming. We've only just begun. We are who we're becoming. We are what we have done. We are what we are dreaming. We've only just begun. We are who we're becoming. We are all we have done. We are what we are dreaming. We've only just begun. We are what we are dreaming. We've only just begun.
There is a tradition in Mahayana Buddhism which teaches that the most sainted of all the wise ones are the bodhisattvas who achieve enlightenment but leave it behind in order to come back to this limited plane and muddle through it with all the rest of us. The ones who touch perfect completeness, who grasp all knowledge and carry all the wisdom they will ever need in their hearts, but choose to come right back into the world of things where every single goal is incomplete. The bodhisattvas who come back are the ones who take all the wisdom of the ages and trade it in for another season in an unfinished world. They are the ones who refuse to be done with all this, even when they could be. The ones who dance in the midst of the unfolding world, even when they do not have to, when they are not stuck here like the rest of us. These days, it feels so often like almost everything is coming undone. Like some great unraveling of the institutions and even the social norms that we once knew has a hold of us and is tugging at the very fabric of things. Democracy itself feels more than a little undone right now. Social movements that had their bearings need to find those bearings again in light of new circumstances and developing information and deepening crisis. The entire idea of what leadership means is coming undone as we contemplate the places in our society in which leadership is in evidence and the places in our society where it very much is not. And let's face it, on your average Thursday afternoon, in the middle of homeschooling or another walk around the lonely block, it can feel like we ourselves are coming undone at the edges, unraveling what once seemed so tightly woven. But what does it mean to come undone. Perhaps it means to fall apart. And surely there are times for that. Some of you might have fallen apart a time or two in the last couple of months, but there's more there, I think, because undone, being undone might also mean just exactly what it says, being undone, not done, not finished, incomplete, and still learning. If we are, in fact, coming undone, both personally and societally, perhaps we are opening ourselves not just to what we thought we were and what we thought we knew, but to new ways of being and new ways of knowing we had not previously considered. You know, it is said that the bodhisattvas, they come back in the Buddhist tradition from enlightenment because they are overcome with compassion for all those among us who have not yet achieved that enlightenment. It is said that until the rest of us can encounter peace, the bodhisattvas will walk this stony road alongside us. They are undone by the compassion that they feel for the rest of us, which is to say, compassion just might be our undoing. Or perhaps it is to say that compassion is what transforms us. It is what keeps us capable of being transformed. It is the only thing powerful enough to get us to admit that we are not finished, that we are never all the way right, no matter how strong our perspective might be, that we are never self-contained nor fully formed as persons, so long as we are willing to be formed by each other and by the world around us. I might even say that the moment we are no longer undone by each other, the moment we are no longer pushed by compassion into some sort of personal transformation, that is the moment when we are no longer full citizens of this earth. That is the moment when we can no longer truly be trusted with each other's care. As the philosopher Judith Butler put it, let's face it, we are undone by each other. And if we're not, we're missing something. Now, I am going to go ahead and get a little bit political here, but not in a remotely surprising or even unexpected way. You all know I am not a fan of the 45th President of the United States of America, and no, my saying so does not violate the separation of church and state, because after all, nobody says you have to agree with me, and besides, I'm fairly certain I'm preaching to the choir anyway. And I'm not going to yell and rant about any policy decision or even the moral corruption and blatant misogyny and racism, just whatever, you know. What I do need to say is that the greatest sin of this president is not any one of his leadership decisions, nor even any single one of his policy positions, such as they are. No, the greatest sin of this president, which is evident for all to see, is his pervasive sense that all of the knowledge he needs is already contained within the closed system of his own person. His greatest sin is that he believes he already knows everything he needs to know. He believes that all information which comes from sources outside of himself is somehow lesser than his own intuition, and that the information and assumptions he carries around with him everywhere he goes are more valuable than the emerging truths that the world has yet to show him. His greatest sin is his very obvious belief that he is done learning, that the world has no new knowledge left to give him, and that the circumstances in which we find ourselves have no evolving wisdom. In this way, self-contained, complete unto himself. He acts as if it is not necessary to respond to evolving circumstances in any way beyond the further assertion of his pre-existing notions and self-interests, and he is not alone in that self-contained environment of one's own notions. He believes he is done learning. And believing this, he twists the world to conform to him rather than altering his perspective to match a changing reality. He is done. Done learning, done listening, done integrating new information, done. And by choosing to live this way, the door to compassion is all but closed. The way to new solutions is all but unavailable. The very undoing that happens when we let each other's perspectives and griefs and hopes into our own hearts is unavailable. And being done in that way must be so very, very lonely in the end. As Voltaire once said, a point of view can be dangerous territory. Especially, I think, when you hang on to that self-contained point of view so firmly that you can perceive truth in nothing else that comes your way. The fact that we are unfinished is in fact what saves us over and over again. The fact that we are not done learning is what keeps us alive. After all, what will we need to ensure that every life matters, especially the lives of those most at risk? What will we need access to in order to build that kind of a reality? We will need emerging data, emerging information, emerging truth. And the task for all of us, the task for each and every one of us, if we are to make it through, if we are to help each other, is to become undone enough that these emerging truths can find us receptive when they cross our paths. I've been saying that leadership in these days requires us to be clear in our decisions, kind in our communication, and humble in our willingness to change our minds in light of new information, because we simply do not know all we will need to know to make it through together. And if you are not somehow transformed by other people or by the information and heartbreak of your neighbors and the unfolding world around you, I am sorry. If you are unraveling a bit because you feel too much of the pain of others and can't even quite metabolize the pain you carry in your own heart, I am sorry. The TV writer Daniel Levy recently said, "I never learn when I feel like I'm being taught a lesson." And it's true. We do not learn when someone tells us we ought to, or preaches at us about what we ought to know, or ought to do, or ought to feel. We learn when we open our hearts to each other and find those hearts transformed through compassion. We are not finished yet, none of us. Not even the most enlightened ones who always come back to bring the rest of us haltingly along with them. We are not finished. We are undone. And may we remain so, incomplete and always learning. By being undone, may we be more compassionate now than we have ever been before. And so, may the truths that make us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies, guide us and those we love and those we do not love, forward together till the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Amen.
Yonder come day, day is a breaking. Yonder come day,